A lot of people didn't like Ghost Recon Breakpoint. There were a lot of issues with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It was this huge immersive world, but it was also really buggy, the launch wasn't great, and the sci-fi drones, and I think the series just went a bit quiet. They did do DLCs, they kind of had a whole island that they never unlocked, so I guess they just gave up on it? I don't know. Disappointing. Don't get me wrong though, I absolutely loved Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It's one of the biggest games on my channel, and I love the franchise as a whole. But now we have something genuinely on the horizon, with a new Ghost Recon title called Project Over, and it's been officially confirmed by the CEO of Ubisoft, who, in my opinion makes some terrible decisions, but this is a good one. And there's a chance that it could be the tactical revival that everyone seems to be craving. So in this video, I'm going to break down absolutely everything we officially know about the next Ghost Recon game. Then I'm going to be diving into my wish list, and also having a look at some of the things that the community wants as a whole. Let me know in the comments down below anything you want to see in the next Ghost Recon game, and let me know if you agree with any of the points I make in this video. So this is everything that's set in stone. It's not much, but it's enough to get a bit of excitement going, and it does kind of go in with a lot of the leaks that were happening over the last year or so. So first and foremost, we know the game is happening. This was confirmed in July 2025, so literally the month of recording this, that a new first-person Ghost Recon game is in development. First person being the interesting bit. It's reportedly entering internal alpha testing soon, with a potential release in fall of 2026 or like winter time. I think there was a lot of touch and go because Ubisoft have recently done a lot of internal cuts to games and other such things. This seems to have survived, so hopefully they're putting a lot of effort into it. As for the story and the setting, apparently we're going to be heading back into more realistic kinds of conflict. The game is going to be set in a fictional Naiman War, or Naiman War, not sure how you pronounce it, which is a Southeast Asian inspired country, and it's a narrative sequel to Breakpoint. That means that the story will carry weight if you did play Breakpoint, and maybe it will actually encourage people to go back and play Breakpoint if they never actually finished it or never even gave it a chance in the first place. There's apparently going to be high stakes covert operations behind enemy lines with potential controversial moments and real moral dilemmas. But the sounds of that is that it's going to be a lot more grounded and mature, and I think that's definitely what the series needs. Now, as for the gameplay perspective, and it's a big one, the game is shifting to a first-person view, and apparently it's being done for enhanced immersion. Also, it's not apparently just a change for the sake of it. The reports suggest that it will emphasize squad-based tactical shooting with serious milsim elements, stealth, and survival. The influences being mentioned are really encouraging, such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare for the narrative, Battlefield for the scale of the game, and the fantastic tactics of Ready or Not, which is really promising if they're actually doing that. This tells me that they're actually learning. Next up, we've got open world and co-op. So the open world structure is back, but it's focused on realistic warfare this time. I'm guessing that means that there's going to be a heavy push on the story, but there will still be an open world for you to explore, which I really like, to be honest. It's also going to have co-op support and potential cross-play, so you can squad up with your friends no matter what platform you're on. And I'm also really happy to hear that apparently they could change it, but for now won't be a heavy live service emphasis, which was a huge problem with Breakpoint. If the servers were ever messy, you'd get kicked out the game, and even though you're not playing with anybody else, it's single player, you'd get kicked out just because the game was not working or the servers weren't working. It was the dumbest thing ever. It just meant they were trying to push microtransactions down your face. Not a fan, absolutely not. But apparently they're getting rid of that, and it's just going to be just not that. Unless you're on co-op, I assume. Beautiful. Now, as for the technology behind it, and this is arguably the most exciting news for me, is they're building Project Over on Unreal Engine 5. So this will actually break away from Ubisoft's usual in-house engine and promises massive graphical improvements. We'll see about that. But Ubisoft tends to have this cartoony feel to their games. Even something like Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which had some realistic aspects to it, it was still very cartoony, and it's hard to get away from that. And especially when you've got all these games out like Ready or Not or Grey Zone Warfare, where you're in these worlds that feel like it's what Breakpoint could have been, but they just look so much better. I'm really excited. If they're actually using Unreal Engine 5, this is going to be great. I know Breakpoint's old, but when it came out, it could have looked better. And so from this, the news that I've seen, the community does seem to be very excited, but I think very cautiously excited. It's very common to get excited about a Ubisoft game just to then be disappointed by them. And that's coming from someone who has done a lot of videos, a lot of content. I've had a decent relationship with Ubisoft over the years, but I do get let down by them more and more and more over the past few years, which has just meant that I don't really have the same excitement to play their games as much anymore. Apart from Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because I still really enjoy that, but that's a lot to do with the mods. But I'll say this. The community's desires are very clear as far as I can see. No microtransactions, and a return to the roots of the older, more tactical entries in the franchise. If we can get that, I think everyone's going to be very happy. And you can still keep all of the stuff that was really good about Ghost Recon Breakpoint 2. So, as long as they go somewhere in the middle while making everything better, it's going to be great. Hopefully. Alright, with those foundations in place, it's time to move on from that and talk more about my wish list, what I want to see, and what could elevate Project Over from a good game to an unforgettable one. Firstly, I want to see perspective choice. So, they've mentioned that the game's going to be first person, which will be good for immersion, it will feel nice, as long as the controls feel good or the gameplay itself feels good. I will say this, if it's anything like X-Defiant, it's still very an arcadey feel. Right? It's first person, it looks really good, or it did look really good until they cancelled it, and then it just had this really arcadey vibe to it, which if you compare it to something like Ready or Not, or Grey Zone Warfare, or even Black Ops 6, right? The movement of that, not the ridiculous cartoony jumping old dolphin diving around, not that, but just the sort of leaning and the swaying that happens, the more natural feel of the game. I want that in it, because if you've got a first-person focused game, it's got to feel quite good. Ghost Recon Breakpoint's movement was actually quite nice in third person, because it felt like there was a bit of, gravity to what you were doing. I'm just hoping they really get the right balance in there if it is going to be first person. But I think they should make it switchable, like a switchable view. So you can have your first person game, but you can also switch to third person if you want to, because I think there's a lot of fans of the third-person aspect of Breakpoint, for example, and there's a lot of fans of the first-person aspect of the other games. Just have both. I know in Breakpoint you can zoom in down your scope in first person, but then you zoom back out to third person. I hope, really, they just give us the opportunity to play the game in a mixture of third person or first person or both. Or maybe at the beginning of your playthrough you decide which perspective you want to play in. That would arguably give extra replayability and more chances to play through the game in a different way. I just think it's a no-brainer to let people switch. I don't see what they could lose from allowing it, and yeah. But we'll see, I guess. Now, touching back on again about movement and realism, I just think the movement needs to feel fluid and realistic and not cartoony like some of the other games. I want the third-person smoothness of Breakpoint, like I said, but with the overall sense of authentic tactical movement that you might get from the likes of Ready or Not or Grey Zone Warfare. Now, for the core gameplay, this is arguably the most crucial part, and I think the core gameplay must be grounded in tactical shooting. I kind of want them to get rid of all the sci-fi robotics that really took away from the tone of Breakpoint. They were cool for a bit, but then I just think that they were just, I don't know, they wanted a different enemy type and they just put that in to make it more diverse. I don't think we need that. I want to focus on stealth and survival and dynamic combat inspired by games like Ready or Not, or even the earlier Ghost Recon games. I want a grittier, more authentic military feel that revives the series' roots, and I know I'm not the only person to be saying that, so, come on, Ubisoft. It's funny, because, the blueprint of how they could make a good game is pretty much already there. Normally with things, there's one opinion and then there's another really polarized opinion on the opposite side. It seems like the majority of people all want the same thing, so I can't see how they could mess this up unless they are just so focused in what they want to do and they don't listen at all to the community that makes their games possible in the first place. Now, moving on to open world design. I think personally that the open world needs to be meaningful and lived in. So Breakpoint's map was huge, and it was good to some extent, But then there was just so much running around and empty space and like, oh, there's 2 enemies over there, blah, blah, blah. It just lost its appeal, and it just meant that you'd, go and attack one base if you wanted to have a bit of fun, but then you'd just quickly fast travel over to another base because there's no point running through the entirety of the world. I want more diverse biomes, dynamic patrols, not just a massive empty space. Like, every single area should have a purpose, and so that exploration feels rewarding as opposed to just tedious. Like, I've often said the Breakpoint map would be perfect for some kind of mod or mode where you spawn in, you've got a weapon, and you're just getting hunted relentlessly across the entire island, and you just see how long you can survive for, and you're picking up ammo from dead soldiers, or maybe you can't get ammo for your specific gun, so you've got to pick up their guns. That would just be absolutely amazing. And the Breakpoint map and world and the game itself feels designed just for that kind of thing. But it's just not. And yeah, that's my idea anyway. You feel free to take it, Ubisoft, if you're listening. Then moving on to mission variety. I want them to get more creative with it. There were a decent chunk of side missions, and there was the faction missions and stuff, but after a while they just started to get really repetitive. I think things like faction missions really add to the replayability. They just needed to add more of them, more different types of them, or random things that can happen at any point in the game, just to make that open world exploration for those that like to do it that much more exciting and inviting. So yeah, I want refreshing mission types that change dynamically to reduce the repetition, and to build on Breakpoint's faction missions, but to add procedural objectives to keep things fresh and replayable. And I'm pretty sure it's doable. I just don't know how personally, but that's not my job. My job is just to say things. Then, AI improvements. This is an important one, I think, for a lot of people. The AI needs to be smarter, because it was dumb as anything in Breakpoint. Like, super dumb. The only way to get around the dumb enemies in Breakpoint was to install mods like the Spartan mod, but then it's not that the AI is smarter, it's just that the AI is way more aggressive. It made it better, but I guess the underlying AI just wasn't good enough to make a mod that allowed, the AI to be smarter, if that makes sense. But enemies should be using flanking and cover, and our teammates need advanced squad commands so that you've got more tactical depth. Like, I want to be able to command my team to clear rooms or interrogate targets like in Ready or Not. I just think it would add so much to the gameplay, and it would just provide you with a lot more replayability of the game as a whole, because you could try things one way, maybe try it another way the next time you play through it, etc, etc. I just think that's how this needs to be. Then moving on to customization, we need them to expand the gunsmith, like, massively. I want options for ammo types and different plate carriers and functional cosmetics. Like, if you're going to a snow region, if you put on a white outfit, that should provide you with a lot more stealth cover than a non-white outfit, or maybe something that really stands out in the snow. That should reflect within the game, and I don't know why they didn't do it. They could have done it in Wildlands, they could have done it in Breakpoint. It made sense that they could have done it in Breakpoint. I remember people asking for that before Breakpoint came out. They never did it. They let you roll around in the mud a little bit. That was the only real way to sort of hide. They need to make it so that, yeah, you can change the colors of your clothes, use suppressors and stuff, and it actually makes a difference within the game, not just with your eyeballs. And because I've seen a lot of people talking about it, I think we want sleeve rolling. And removing the gun belt. That would be nice. Just extra customization. Much more customization. More scopes, more attachments, more ways to make the weapons that you're using actually your own, and just, again, less cartoony feel, and yeah, you get me. Oh, and this is a big one, the progression system. So we have to lose the RPG elements, right? Like, there can't just be me that just thinks that's the dumbest thing to have in a Ghost Recon game. Ubisoft, not every single game needs to be an RPG. Some of them, it can make sense. Assassin's Creed, I don't like it in it, but fine. I know you're never going to change that. I know it was a way so that you could sell little microtransactions and stuff like that, but nobody wants it. Nobody wants to have to get a specific level weapon just so you can take on specific level enemies. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make the game tactical. It doesn't make the game more immersive. It just makes the game just tedious. And the fact that they introduced a non-RPG element loot tier version of Breakpoint, or a mode within Breakpoint, showed that they definitely saw that people weren't happy with the RPG stuff. So I'm hoping they learned from that and they won't even bother with it in the next game. I want a progression system that uses branching skill trees based on the gear I have and natural advancement. No infinite ammo, no forced classes. Literally just a system that rewards smart play or adapts based on how you play, or you can adapt it based on how you play. That's what I want. That's what I think a lot of people want. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Then, moving on to realism and immersion. I really want to see accurate bullet physics because there was some decent things in Breakpoint, like recoil patterns and stuff like that, but a lot of it was just really bad. And you couldn't shoot over a certain distance, you couldn't see over a certain distance, so longer sniping ranges that require a bipod, maybe then you could see a bit further, or there's specific scopes that allow you to see further than others, but just, they got to make it so that the enemies load in, like even physically load in. My longest sniper shot in Breakpoint is 811 meters, and I've never been able to break it because you can't physically see enemies further away than that. It's so silly. I know there's ways to do it, but I didn't have time for that. Alright, so let's just get accurate bullet physics, more accurate physics in general, and just better realism and immersion within the game. And hopefully Unreal Engine 5 can actually help with that a lot. Oh, and maybe some more balanced survival mechanics like hunger and thirst, because they kind of tried to introduce that in Breakpoint, but it was more just like, have this snack and you get a buff for 20 minutes or something like that. I'd actually quite like to have like hunger and thirst meters, just like you do in looter shooters. Maybe you don't have to have that, but even like in Breakpoint, you could turn that off if you didn't want to have to worry about all that stuff, you know? I think customization is actually really valuable in a game like this. And maybe if you're doing the story, maybe you can't turn those things off. But in the open world, when you've finished the story and you're just roaming around, if they allow us to do that in this game, it would be nice to have those options so you can really, really make the game more playable and replayable many, many times over. Then, the big one. One of the big ones. Monetization. Huge one. Ubisoft, don't do it. No microtransactions whatsoever. None. Please. For the love of God, please. I want a premium title full of offline playability and zero paywalls. None. We just want a game. We just want to play a game. Billions and billions and billions of dollars you make. Billions. You don't need microtransactions. You've tried to do live service games and they've failed miserably. That's not your focus. Your focus is story games. You've always been good at story games, and then you try to get really woke and you try to change things. Just stop doing that. Just go back to what you're good at. Story games. No live service is needed. You can add PvP if you want, but just focus on the story, and don't focus on putting microtransactions in so you can get pennies off kids that just steal their parents' cards. I'm done. But just stop with the monetization, please. And maybe even mod potential, like easier mod potential. Ubisoft games are notoriously hard to add mods to. You can do it, they're just a lot harder than other games. Then just more specific features. It would be nice if they introduced more vehicle types, vehicle mechanics, like the ability to make enemies surrender, or just extra stuff to make it more real, you know? Or maybe you go up to someone with a gun, they won't just instantly pull their own gun up and try and start shooting you. Maybe they go, oh, okay, buddy, I won't shoot you, you know? But then maybe if one of their mates comes in and sees them and they get the drop on you, then that guy might pick up his gun again and try and shoot you. Ready or Not does it. I'm pretty sure that a massive company like Ubisoft could do it. Just the bigger, the larger the weapon pool that you offer, the more happy your fans are going to be. And then onto story and longevity to end. While the story emphasis is welcome, like I'm very excited for it. I love a good story in a game. Deep narratives, moral dilemmas, all that stuff. It needs strong post-story content as well to maintain the longevity, as I've been saying throughout this. Like, I want to feel like my actions have a lasting impact on the world. Or I want to feel like every single day, even if I've completed the game, if it's good, I can jump back in and experience something new or random things or just, you know what I mean? We need that longevity. I personally found Breakpoint really, really fun over the last few years. I still play it to this day, still do videos on it to this day. A lot of that is because of mods, granted, but it is still a really fun game. If you really crank up all the difficulties and all of that stuff, you can have a real good time with it. And I think with extra features and stuff that we talked about in this video, you could have that, but 1,000 times better in Ghost Recon Project Over, or whatever they end up calling it. If Ubisoft nails even half of this stuff, it won't just be a good Ghost Recon game, it will be an amazing Ghost Recon game that could bring back a lot of the fans they've lost over the last few years. To summarize, the key takeaways from the confirmed first-person shift and that beautiful Unreal Engine glow-up, hopefully, to my wishlist blending fluid gameplay, tactical depth, and return to no-nonsense realism, Project Over really does have the potential to redeem the franchise. And this is genuinely the moment that they could bring the Ghosts back to their glory days, so to speak. But let me know what you all think in the comments down below. Drop your wishlist ideas and let me know what you absolutely want to see in the next game. Sorry Ubisoft, I do love you, but I also have a hateful relationship with you at the same time. Here's to hoping Project Over ghosts its way into our hearts as the ultimate tactical masterpiece that it could be, but might not be. But hopefully it is. Thanks for watching.